Welcome back, Unit 2, and now we are going to explore Chapter 2, Creativity and Problem Solving. We're adjusting our environment for this unit. I would like to start with a quote from Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. What is the hidden meaning behind this quote? What did Einstein really try to tell us? And why imagination is more important than knowledge? And if this is true, then why would we have universities oriented to knowledge and not to imagination? Or too many universities on knowledge and no university on imagination? Actually, there are some universities for imagination. As Pixar and Disney have their own universities that try to make people a game child. In Pixar they say that the laws, your parents, your environment, police, and all the other influences in the civilized world suppress the kid inside you. But though all creativity comes from the kid inside us. Kids are the most creative creatures we can find in nature. Why? Because, as we said before, the influences they have are less than our influences. They have less data to compare. Let's go further. Thinking outside the box. What is thinking outside the box? See things differently. Well, now, thinking outside the box and generating ideas is actually useful in all areas of life. When you have completed this unit, you will be able to define creativity, identify inhibitors and blocks of creative thinking, appreciate situation at work, or else that might need some creativity to help. Additionally, in this course you will be introduced to 3 tools that will allow you to unlock your creative potential. This chapter is ideal for people who do not think that they have time to be creative due to pressures of daily life, as well as for those who are stuck and can't find a way to escape from this brain prison. So, this is the beginning. Let's go. Starting, I would like you to try to define creativity and identify at least one creative individual. Take 15 seconds. Let's return. It's likely that you concluded that creativity is about developing new ideas, having mind as a personal trait, unique creativity with concepts as open-minded, having imagination, being insightful. Do you? And you probably just found a friend that works in creative industry. Of course, we are creative industry here. So, let's define. According to psychologist Robert Sternberg, creativity is defined as a process of producing a new product, idea, object, situation, or else, which is so authentic as substantial. Creativity is connected with finding new ways of solving problems and approaches to situations. It's not an exclusive ability that only artists possess, but a useful ability for all people. To sum up, what I want to add here is that one easy way to perceive creativity is just to say that creativity is all about manipulating your knowledge to look for alternatives. Just a way to be creative is always say how this could be different. So this is a start. This ignites, this could trigger your creative great to work on this. You see this funny picture on the down right. The person says, get back inside this cubicle and start thinking outside the box. But how do you think outside the box when you are inside the box? And that's just what we're going to discuss. Creativity is not only the personal traits, it's the internal and the external environment as well. It's what is in us and outside from us. Because there are some environments that suppress creativity and some environments that probably will drive you to be more creative. The big question, if I'm not gifted with creativity, can I do anything? Many people believe that they are or are not creative. Creativity applies to every aspect of life. It's likely you already are creative in various aspects in your own life, from cooking, choosing clothes, to problem solving, or even trying to avoid a difficult situation at home. Being able to think out of the box leads to a better problem solving and, of course, to a better life. Creativity is an ability, a behavior, and a process. So, to conclude that in this big question the answer would be creativity is gifted. Everyone is gifted with creativity. Creativity, every one of you are creative at a point or less. So what we have to do is unlock your potential and be better. But as we said in communications, the same applies to creativity. You have to train your brain. It's practical. It's not that we read one book or two books and now we are creative. Yes, we have to work. You know, most of you in this course we will probably have some artists that they already know that. To make a perfect image, to make a perfect canvas, portrait, they trained too many years for this. They started from lines and to become realistic or surrealistic or what else. But they know that behind this there's too much effort. Same applies for creative professionals in advertising industry. They started making big projects and their experience created, transformed their mindset to more creative, to be more creative. And now it's easier for them to produce creative ideas. Let's explore some blocks of creative thinking. You can identify 5 blocks: perceptual, emotional, intellectual, cultural, and environmental blocks. Perceptual, the first part. The way our mind automatically builds patterns. Do you see the picture on the left, the black and white picture? Do you see the cycle? In the left or in the right, do you see 2 people that are about to kiss? Or some of you see a vase? So that's the truth. So what really is? In reality, in the left, the cycle is not a cycle, it's just some lines. But this is a closure. The way our brain works. Our brain needs to close things. Closure means that when you see something, your brain tries to match this thing you see, what you see, with past experiences, and try to match it. And it serves you with this, with maths. And it says you that this is what you believe, this is cycle. The same applies to the other image. There are many more examples to see this. Advertising industry tried to manipulate this also, trying to make advertisements in which there was absence of some cues. This made the recipients of the message trying get more involved with advertising, trying to close what is missing, to put the missing cube and close this. So this all made it more interactive and provided, of course, value for the advertiser. Let's go to the right. Difficulty in isolating the problem. You know that saying, you can see the wood for the trees. Frame the problem, the put of boundaries that prevents you see the whole picture while you focus on the problem, maybe me more at stake. It is very difficult to isolate the problem. What most people do, and what we often do almost all the time, is that we focus on a broad problem and never go inside the problem. So, generalization is something that might influence a problem-solving skill. We have to isolate the problem and then fix this specific problem. Then go to the next. Then go to the next. Then go to the next and goes like this. You can solve 2, 3, 5, 4 problems at once. And not one idea applies to all problems. So by isolating the problem, then you're able to find the most efficient way fighting this problem, which later allows you to go on and solve any other problem related or associated with this. Blocks of creative thinking. Let's go to see the emotional blocks. Anxiety, safety, stickiness to comfort zone, fear of failure. Human and emotional beings. We know this, as we already discussed in brief. We operate and make decisions based on our emotional brain. We also know that we are loss averse. We probably are afraid to lose more than to gain. And what we need to say here is that the decade of the brain revealed many findings on how our brain and our emotions influence our brain, our decisions, our life. From personal relationships to work-life balance. Anger is a poison that you drink and wait for other people to die. That's a funny word from Anonymous, but it's true. When you are angry, you block your creative brain. So, how do you wait? How do you expect to be efficient and solve a problem? While blocking your creative brain. You have to find a way to control your emotions. There is a book of Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence that you might find handy. That explains many aspects of this emotional intelligence. Blocks of creative thinking. Intellectual blocks. Intellectual beliefs can be very limiting. Do you remember how do we start the perception chapter? In communication chapter, the perception section. Cultural influences, personal influences. That's what we're talking about. Intellectual beliefs. For instance, what's a car? It is a vehicle, a symbol, a machine. It depends. It depends on my culture, where I live. Another way intelligence might block creativity is through lack of empathy. We've already discussed about empathy in previous chapter. Or even by bias, stereotypes. Albert Einstein said that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb the tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And that's sad. That's the sad reality today. because there are people that have specific abilities, specific areas. That's what we can say about intellectual blocks. Taking further, cultural blocks. Our cultural context cultivates beliefs and scripts for life. Scripts for life is the way we see the life. We can associate script with a map. Our parents and context may have discouraged from acting creative. What scientists found, what researchers found, is context matters. We know it today. We might believe that the kid, let's make a question. What do you believe? That a kid living in a nice family with good parents, with medium weights, is better, but we have two options. Intellectual. So intellectual beliefs can be very limiting. For instance, what is a car? Is it a vehicle, a symbol, a machine? So that's about intellectual beliefs. What is a cat? What is a dog? What is everything? We have stereotype bias. We already discussed about this in the chapter of communication. Another way intelligent might block creativity is just like we said. Lack of empathy, bias, stereotypes, all these things we discussed in chapter 1, unit 2, chapter 1. It's about this. I close this intellectual block with a quote from Einstein again. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will probably live its whole life believing it is stupid. So our intellectual beliefs may play a role here, blocking our creativity. Then we have cultural beliefs. Our cultural context cultivates beliefs and scripts for life. Our parents and context may have discouraged us from being creative. How this? Imagine, I want to ask you a question now. So we have a kid. In the first case, this kid lives with a family. Big class, middle class, nice home, they love it, they love their kid, they love each other, but the whole environment outside the house, the whole village, it's surrounded by bad people, very bad people. So the context here is bad, but the family context is very good, it's very rich. Now let's go to the second case. We have a very bad family, maybe involves father being alcoholic, beating a mother, whatever you can think of a bad family. But the family that is bad influence for the kid. And we have a very nice people living in this village. So we have a positive context. What do you believe is better for the kid? And in which case the percentage is less for this kid to be a criminal or a bad human being? Scientists found that it is actually the context that matters. No matter what how good your family is, if the context is very bad, you are going to be progressively, you have more, or the possibilities are high, the stakes are high that you are probably be a bad person yourself to fit to the community. In his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the writer explains the difference and why rich dads are the best dads. And it's not money. And why the kids succeed in life. It's a context. It's not the money resources, but another distinctive element. Culture and context. Rich dad teach their kids that the sky is the limit. And also they teach them, don't fear to try. Reach the sky, my kid. In other words, poor dads teach their children compliance limits. That's not for you. You can't do this. We can't afford to do this. We can't. So, in first case, child lives with try, fail, fail, try again, but don't fear, sometimes you succeed. Success is up front, just try. In the second case, don't give a try. The kid is growing up influenced by Ken, by things that he can do or she can do. Environmental influences, we already discussed about context, but here we're going to see another perspective. Do you remember in the beginning what we said about Pixar and environments, the creativity? A support environment is must in being creative. Let me read you a small text from taken from Capodansley Jackson, Innovate the Pixar Way, describing two kids. Have you ever watched the interplay of children in a sandbox? The younger one watch with curiosity how the older children build the sandcastles. From time to time, the older children will mentor the younger ones, suggesting ideas and providing instruction for using the essential construction tools, shovels, and buckets. Kids learn from intense observation and by trial and error in a collaborative environment. So, in the picture, as we return again to the kids, this environment you see in the picture in the top right is a real environment. So, how will people will be influenced working in this environment? How working in the job we had in the first page, the first slide. Working in the box. Environment sure matters. Let's see some red flags regarding creativity. It can be done. Oh no, the problem again. I cannot do it. There's nothing can be done. I'm not creative. If you say, you are. This is childish. What other people gonna say? I may fail, and that's only few. Your task, as in communication, is to find out what are your blocks of creativity. What blocks of creativity you like to use in your everyday life. Try to find them, explore them, recognize them, and eliminate it. Now, we're going to pass in some myths regarding creative thinking. Creative solutions are complex. It's our first myth. Are they? The only complex is the way we think and the filters we use. Pixar welcomes the key of its executives during meetings, not because creativity is complex, because, as discussed in communication chapter, kids have less influence and filters, which makes them perceive things different than us, in a more simple way. Creativity means liberated thoughts with less distraction, rules, and stereotypes. The most problem hide their own seeds, their own solutions in their seeds. So what we have to search is the seed of the solution inside the problem. Explore the problem, isolate it, and try to find the seed. Where is the solution exactly? Inside. And not necessarily perceive as a complex all this process. Each problem has only one solution. Really? We believe this, so we just want to end this task and go to the next because we don't like it. Really? Can a problem have only one solution? There is always another way. Do you remember the astronauts of NASA trying to write with a pen in space? A whole pen industry was motivated to try to find a new technology to create a pen that was able to write in the space, while the solution was just write with pencil. There always another way, and most of the time this way is simpler than that. Ideas come or not? Okay, we already discussed this in chapter 1, in ideas. This is not true. Ideas come from exposure in diverse stimuli that later your brain provides links and associations, crafting your new idea. So I was exposed to many things and have many experiences in my life which drove me with this specific stimuli to create a new idea. But this doesn't mean that every person that receives the same stimuli will come up with the same idea, because we're not the same, because he didn't have the same exposure and didn't influence the same as me. The Steve Jobs example used in Unit 1 was great about this. It was a perfect match to bust this myth. Because as he said, to recall, was that Pixar and calligraphy, the calligraphy class he chose to have, was the trigger of Pixar. Later, much later. Let's go to the next. The best solution has already been introduced. If this would be true, then we should still have gas lamps instead of electricity and caves instead of houses. Probably we might not ever have invented the wheel. You may not be able to disrupt a product or service, but there is plenty of space to transform it, to adapt better to the users in terms of package, design, distribution, utility, attributes, and so on. We witness these small innovations every day in startup community. Just monitor the startup community worldwide to witness small disruption in everyday life. Take for example transportation. The Uber and TaxiBit applications made it easier for passengers to find a taxi, faster and easier, and all this through their mobile phone. They just walk in the street and press, and even they are able to see who is the driver and how is his rating, his social proof. How many people discussed about him positively and how many negatively. While at the same time, these applications actually, because there are more than one, created value for taxi companies, created a new reality. So this is disruption actually. This is creative approach. Developing a whole brain activity. Human brain is amazing. The human brain is more complex than the largest computer on Earth, which actually now is from IBM as we know. How much time a hypercomputer needs to make the same processes that equal 1 second of brain activity? Is it 40 minutes, 40 seconds, or 40 milliseconds? Think. It's 40 minutes. 40 minutes is the time that the hypercomputer needs to make the same processes that equal 1 second of brain activity. Some brain facts is that human brain has almost 100 billion neurons. It is believed that each neuron sends signals every 5 milliseconds, which equals to 200 signals per second. The number of cells that each neuron is linked varies, but in average, each neuron linked with 1,000 other neurons. Through each time a neuron launches new signal, 1,000 more accepted. And all this happens with less than 12 watts. Your refrigerator needs more than that. But your brain does all these things in all parts. It's amazing. Now, the brain has two hemispheres, left and right, which you probably already know. Research on stroke victims suggested that one side can replace the function of the other in case of brain damage. However, each side offers a different image of the world. Most of us tend to have a side that dominates our thinking and creates patterns. Your goal is to achieve whole brain thinking. The figure provides a simple outline of the differences between the two hemispheres. Let's see. The left hemisphere looks for cause and effect, processes information. Let's see. Focuses on detail, focuses on logic, works with details in facts and figures, focusing on words to describe, focuses on logic, as we said again, likes to order, put into sequence things, evaluates deals with rights and wrongs. So this is the calculative side of our brain. The brain that likes to balance, to think like an accountant. And let's go to the creative side of our brain, the right side. Looks at relationships, processes all informations with more emotional context, looks at the whole picture, asks why, uses pictures and imagery, thinks in lateral ways, is non-evaluative, focuses on emotions and feelings. Now, let's make an example. What your right brain and your thinking with images means, because all people think with images. Imagine you're going for a surgery, and there is a good news because your leg was hurt, and the surgeon has to deliver you good news. He says, okay, we won't cut your leg off, but your brain already described the image of him cutting your leg. You probably have some saw or chainsaw or something. So you see what image is that? They try to deliver you good news, but actually what you receive was not pleasant at all. So this is how our brain works and our perception. We understand the world through images and process. Let's go to the next slide to test yourself. So, developing a whole brain activity, look at the chart and say, the color, not the word. Test it. Did you see how difficult it is? Your right brain tries to say the color, but your left brain insists on reading the word. This is dissonance. This is how your brain could influence. There were some many experiments delivered on this to see how our brain influences, and we saw in communication some of these. And now it's time to explore the tools for creativity. There are plenty of tools, and feel free to explore the world of creativity and find new tools and practice with them. For this course, we selected three popular tools. The first tool is brainstorming. Brainstorming was initially developed by Osborne, an advertising executive, to create better campaigns. Osborne credited the origin of the process to Hindu teachers in India, who have used the method of Vipassana over 400 years. Brainstorming is efficient as it allows both sides of the brain to collaborate. The main elements are free idea flow and the absence of criticism. Some method rules provided by Kingston University Business School and Jane Goodall are: blue sky, any idea is acceptable, no matter how outrageous. Hitchhike, using the ideas of others as seedbed for your own imagination. You never block the other person, and you use their ideas to create new from them. If any of you is involved with improv and stand-up comedy, the first rule you learn is never say no. Never block the other person, and whatever he says, just use it to create something else from this. So, avoid blocking. Springboard, use one idea in a springboard for another. No criticism, I said. No evaluation, likewise evaluation shuts down creative thinking, so suspend this also. No sequence. Do not try to impose any order or sequence, just capture the ideas as they come. No linearity. No linearity. Try to avoid writing ideas in a list of linear fashion. Do you remember the communication linear model? Our brain doesn't think in linear mode, so don't do it. We find out more in the mind map about this. And last, quantity, not quality. In a brainstorming session, what we want is quantity. Don't care. There is no bad idea. There is just ideas. Because from a bad idea, you might generate new ideas that are fruitful. And now, you can explore in the link of IDEO the brainstorming rules. 7 brainstorming rules of IDEO says, defer judgment, encourage wild ideas, yes, you need them, build on the ideas of others, stay focused on the topic, one conversation at a time, don't speak altogether. You might use not speak at all. You might use to take some post-its and just for 10 minutes use it and everyone write his own idea on them. Build a quantity and then choose the most appropriate. One conversation at a time, as we said, be visual. Being visual is many times what can help you think outside the box. Don't think only words. You might draw what you believe as a solution. Go for quantity again. So, returning. This is the technique of brain mapping. Feel free and just try, as we said, my brainstorming. So that was the brainstorming technique. Now we're going to jump to the next creativity technique, the mind map. Mind map is drawn from the work of Tony Buzan in the 1970s. It's another technique that applied allows you to liberate your full brain ability. This technique is successful because it imitates the way our brain works. We are educated to work in a linear mode. Although our brain works in different way, as you see in the pictures below. Think of a banana. What your brain just did is trying to find in your brain, in your base, in your experiences, and things, colors, shape, taste, smell, and many, many other elements. Remember how many times you try to organize a walk, a party, or something else in your life, and put it in bullets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you were stuck. Suddenly you were stuck and you didn't know how to proceed on this. What happened now was that your brain cannot operate in a linear mode because it doesn't work like this. So, you have to remember that your brain thinks not linear. You can test this and practice it by taking a friend of yours and creating a mind map. And we will explain this better in the next slide. Our brain makes connections with past thoughts. When I asked you to think a banana, your brain just put the banana in the center and started making branches as color, shape, taste, blah, 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 blah. Finally, to present the last option. Essentially, this is a banana. And this is a catch, because if you accept the first, your brain doesn't work to find another. It doesn't always mean that the first is right. And that's our filters, our perception filters. And that's how bias and stereotypes are built. So, the learning activity here is to pick a frame to create your own mind map. There's no right way or wrong way, it's just your way. Your mission is to familiarize with the technique. Put the name of the person in the center where you see the subject. And now start building. What's your name and what's your age? Put age in the first idea slot. Okay, what's your professional? In the second idea slot, put profession. Okay. Are you married? Marital status. Another. Have kids? Now expand the marital status to the sub-idea slot, putting yes, no, have kids, and more. So you are going to create a tree. You're going to create a mind map. This is a simple technique to create your first mind map. Start asking questions and create appropriate branches for each question. This is how simple it is. This is just a mind map. There is no right or wrong, as we said. It's just what you do and how you do it. Mind map example comes to the next slide. You see, health, sleep, diet, exercise, stress, health. So, health by doctor, by nutritionist, and more. Diet, fruits, no fruits, other, bread, and etc. Sleep, 33% of our life. Insomnia, may not sleep, blah, 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 many. That's how you expand it. And that's exactly how your brain works. If you master it, you may unlock your potential and reach your full capacity of your brain. So, it's a very, very efficient technique. And now we're about to explore the third technique, the incubation. Incubation is what we call sleeping on a problem. You may already apply this technique, conscious or unconscious. Or just you live with its results. In any way, it's most probable that you are already aware of it. How many times you taking a bath, having a walk, and you still just the idea came up, or you working and go outside for a little, and now come the idea is better. You do not actually have to go to sleep to apply. Now, let's explore creativity technique number 3, the incubation. Incubation is what we merely call sleeping on the problem. You may already apply this technique, conscious or unconscious. In any way, it's most probable that you are already aware of it. But maybe you cannot define that you live it. What is important here is that you do not actually have to go to sleep to apply incubation. Sleeping on a problem doesn't always mean that you sleep on the problem. And incubation is not all about sleeping on the problem. You can go for a walk or a ride in the park. Have a bath, take a coffee break, listen to some music, use relaxation technique. Concentrate on another aspect of your work. Many of you have probably used almost all of these techniques in your work. Artists try to take a break, looking outside the window, listen to some music, and many other things. So, incubation, it's all about relaxing your brain and distracting your brain from overdose. Let's go to the next slide and see Shodh Yatra. Walking to discover innovation at the grassroots. The Shodh Yatra organized by the Honeybee Network is a journey of discovery and exploration. In 1 week, walkers, farmers, scientists, and researchers travel hundreds of kilometers across rural India to unearth, share, and disseminate sustainable solutions to local issues including conservation, organic farming, biodiversity, as well as health and nutrition. What these people do, what's incubation? They walk just to escape from the problems and achieve mindfulness on what they want to do. So, incubation is an easy technique that you can apply in your everyday life and work by using some of the elements we said above. But you can also find new ways to incubate and unlock your potential. Whatever you do, as we said, you can practice. And change, what change needs, is to make the first step. It's to acknowledge it. Now, let's go explore some examples. Creativity in business. And now we're ready to jump from theory to real life. So we saw theory and tools, and now let's see some real life applications of creativity, starting with business. The empty toothpaste box problem is a perfect example. A toothpaste factory had a problem. Due to the way the production line was set up, sometimes empty boxes were shipped without the tube inside. People with experience in designing production lines will tell you how difficult it is to have everything happen with timing so precise that every single unit coming off perfect 100% of the time. The project followed the usual process: budget, project sponsor allocation, request for proposal, third party selected, and after 6 months and 8 million later, a solution was delivered. On time, on budget, high quality, and everyone in the project had a great time. The problem was solved by using high technology precision scales that would sound the bell and flash whenever a toothpaste box would weigh less than it should. So they focused on the weight. They said that we have to put sensors and identify whenever this box is lighter, and then we detect it. The line would stop, and someone had to walk over and yank the defective box off the line. Then press another button to restart the line. Here's a catch. When Sim decided to have a look at the return of investment, amazing results. No empty boxes ever shipped out of the factory. This can happen. You cannot achieve 100%. They know it. What he thought was that the reports were not fully right, and decided to go to the plant and see by himself. The CEO traveled down to the factory and walked up to the part of the line where the precision scales were installed. A few feet before the scale, a $20 fan was blowing any empty boxes off the belt and into the bin. Puzzled, the CEO turned to one of the workers who stated, "Oh, that one of the guys put it there because he was tired of walking over every time the bell rang." Yes, it's a funny situation because they focused in one solution of the problem. Do you remember what you said about the blocks? The tree and the woods? That's exactly because they didn't involve the bottom line. From the bottom up solutions come better because people that work there, the new solution had to change the way they routing, the way they work. They had too many work, too many back and forth. They didn't like it. But if from the beginning they explained the problem to them, probably they had the $20 solution instead of the millions solution. That's a creative approach in an existing problem. let's say creativity in government. You see on the picture, on the first picture, in Philadelphia, as part of a citywide campaign to reduce speeding. You see these markings on the road? These 3D paintings prevented people from running. Lakeshore Drive, Chicago, optical illusions slow down drivers. What they did? They had the lines, and as you can observe here, the lines closer to the turn have smaller space. So what they did was to create illusions to the driver to believe that he is speeding up. Driver was afraid and he was forced to go slower. So we don't have, this is also a social marketing approach, because we don't have to go and fight the way the people live, what they're used to do. We just have to make some intervention, some creative intervention, and be both happy on this. A win-win situation. And here we ended the creativity section of this unit. The chapter comes to an end. You should pass to the learning activities, answer the questions, and then spend some time, watch Tim Brown's TED Talk on Tales of Creativity in Play.